Thank everyone for joining the call today, and I wish you a happy holiday, whatever holiday you are celebrating. I hope you are enjoying time with your family, your friends, and just taking time to reflect on the year and what you want to do in 2025. In North Carolina, we have amazing opportunities with tax lien foreclosures. And it's a little bit different in every county, the way they may process the paperwork. But for the most part, what I'm showing you today is a great overview so that if you wanted to be part of this process, you can connect with me. We can talk about it and how it can benefit you as an investor, or if this is another stream of income that you would like to offer your clients. So my name is Louv Ford, and I am in the Greensboro, North Carolina office. I am now a managing partner with Lifestyle International Realty, and I'm super excited to be part of the Lifestyle brand and the Lifestyle family. Today, we're going to talk about tax lien foreclosures in North Carolina, a little bit about the vocabulary, not too detailed. And if you do have questions during the presentation, raise your hand. Feel free to come off mute and just let me know what questions you have, and I will address them. And if for some reason I don't have the answer, I will make sure to get you the answer. So in North Carolina, if someone does not pay their property tax, they will start to get notices. You're late, you're delinquent, and then you'll get a foreclosure notice. A lot of people don't pay attention to those notices, and it's unfortunate because they are very, very important in North Carolina. And my sister Des and we are a team, so you'll hear me bring her up quite a bit. But we've been practicing purchasing tax lien foreclosures since about 2016, 2015. So there's a lot of benefit, but it does take consistency. You have to be consistent when you're doing it. So basically, if you do not pay your property tax in North Carolina, they will notify your lender, they will notify you, they will notify everyone who is on title. And if no one responds, they will proceed with suing you and putting you in foreclosure and selling your property at auction. So that is pretty simple how it happens here. And once that happens, and if you win the bid, then you own the property. And so the benefits of tax lien foreclosures is you can potentially get properties below market value. So clear example, you may be able to find a half acre of land that cost that someone didn't pay their property taxes on, and they owed maybe $3,000. So that's what the county wants, is $3,000 to pay off that tax lien. Now, what happens is you and whoever else is purchasing tax liens has access to this information and can go ahead and do this process. So there are some steps that I want to make sure that you don't miss when you're going through this process, because you can get properties below market value. You can get properties with a high return on investment, and there are unique deals out there. So I have seen people purchase land in the county that is now worth a couple $100,000, but they got it for maybe 7,500, and they held on to it. And I think land is a great investment because you just mow the lawn. It's not like a lot of upkeep. But if you are trying to get into fix and flips, this is a great opportunity. Some of these tax lien foreclosures are owned by people that passed away, that don't have heirs, that have heirs. So there's a lot to it. And so, like I said, what happens is you will get the notice. They'll let you know that you're delinquent. They will contact the lien holders. it'll go to auction. And when it's in auction, the owner of the property does have an opportunity to redeem the property. They do have an opportunity to pay that tax bill. So if you do bid on something, that doesn't mean you want it. Because someone can upset you. There's a 10-day upset bid process. So if you bid on something on the 1st and someone upsets your bid on the 5th, then you have to bid again if you're really trying to obtain that property. However, if the owner of the property comes in and bids on that property, I'm sorry, not bid on it, but pays the debt, then they can redeem the property and get the property back. So that is pretty much how that process works. I'm just going to take a quick pause to see if anyone has any questions for me right now.
Quick question. I just got on. I kind of just got on. So one question that I have, because in Florida, when you do tax liens, if the owner comes and pay before I guess they foreclose on them, if they come and pay, they still got to pay you interest. Did you touch base on that, or is that the same in North Carolina? Or?
That is not the same in North Carolina.
Okay. So yeah. You lose the money? Whatever money you paid, you lose it?
That is a wonderful question. So whatever money you pay, the court gives it back to you if you're not the winner.
Okay.
Yeah. So North Carolina is different. So you do not own interest on the tax liens in North Carolina. You either win the bid or you don't win the bid. And if you don't win the bid, the court will give you back the money that you put up to obtain the property. So pretty much the vocabulary that you need to know when you are searching the county websites in North Carolina, you'll see the property listed, and then you'll see a description next to it. It'll say tax lien, it'll say upset bid, it'll say notice of sale, it'll say foreclosure. Notice of sale is what you want to pay attention to in North Carolina. So when you're searching different county websites, if this is something you want to get into, when it says notice of sale, that's what you really need to pay attention to. And you also need to pay attention if it says upset bid and you want to start bidding on properties, because these are the two opportunities where you can do that. And so we were just talking about the redemption period. So in North Carolina, what happens is when a property goes into tax lien foreclosure and the bidding is going back and forth, it could go back and forth for 8 months. If the owner of that property redeems or pays what is due, what the county initially wanted, not the bid amount, because they could start at 3,000 and be at 30,000. But if the owner of that property wants to redeem the pay that tax bill, they can do that during that time frame. And I've seen this back and forth struggle with bidding on tax lien foreclosures for 9, 10, 12 months. So someone really wants this property, they're going to go for it. They're going to just keep going back and forth. So it's a tedious thing. Like, do you want to go back and forth every 10 days? So this is something that it's very rewarding if you have the skin for it, if you have the fearlessness for it. It's very rewarding. But it's not cut and dry and it's not easy. And so if you are trying to get into it in this area, make sure you'll see my contact information at the end. Feel free to reach out to me and I'll help you as much as I can possibly help you. So a couple of things that I do recommend is, once you identify a property that is going up for sale or that you have an opportunity to upset the bid on, to make sure you're doing your due diligence. Drive to the property. Just because you see it in a picture on Zillow or Realtor.com does not mean there's a building sitting there. So get in your vehicle, Or if you're in Florida or another state and you want to do this, then you need to partner with an agent here, like myself or like my sister Des. I know Dwayne and Yachty are trying to get into tax lien foreclosures. Partner with one of us to work with you to do this, because that is a very important step that a lot of people miss. And if you are bidding $20,000 because you think there's a property there and there's no property, you have no recourse, because it's up to you to do your due diligence. The attorney that is handling these tax lien foreclosures, they work for the county. They don't work for you. Does anybody have any questions before I continue to go on? All right. So to find these foreclosure sales, there is an attorney called Zacharias Attorneys, and they have a running list of all the different counties that they represent. And that list will let you know a description of the property. So it doesn't give you the address, but it gives you like the deed book information and page number. And then you can go to they don't make it easy for you to find it. So that's why a lot of people charge for this, because there is research involved, unless you're someone like me that makes really nice with the people at the courthouse, and they send you the list when these things are happening, or when these properties are going up for foreclosure. So that is one tidbit. Even if you're doing it in Florida, just be nice to the people at the courthouse, because they will look out for you, especially if this is something that you want to actively do. But in North Carolina, specifically Guilford County, Zacharias Attorneys is the attorney that will list all of the different properties in different counties that they process the tax lien foreclosures on. There are other attorneys that do it for Concord, Kannapolis, the whole Charlotte market, all the different parts of North Carolina. There's different groups of attorneys, but today we're specifically talking about Guilford County. So two of the tools that I use, I don't know if you guys have access to them in Florida or not, but NARPR is a great tool. It gives you information on the property, the owner, the tax information. Forewarn gives you information that could help you determine if the owner is deceased. So just some due diligence and background checking tools that I use to help me along the way are NARPR and Forewarn. Like I said, make sure I stepped ahead of myself, because this is a very important piece. Make sure that you visit that property. Don't just rely on what you're seeing on the internet, because you will be in trouble. And make sure, if you are able to access the property, if you have like a handyman, or if you're very familiar with inspecting properties, that you are going through these steps. But it's the same thing as looking for a home for a buyer. So just doing your due diligence with the property, getting estimates up front, because there are tons of deals here in the Carolinas for tax lien foreclosures. Some of these properties, most of these properties, you cannot occupy them. So it's pretty much you're taking a risk. So a lot of your due diligence has to be in the paperwork and the ownership. It is a good idea to do title search on the property, even though Zacharias does it for Guilford County. You just want to make sure that nothing else is going to come up on your end. So I also recommend just doing, if you don't have tools like NARPR, that you're doing some type of title search to protect yourself in the long run of someone else filing claim to that property. Does anyone have any more questions before I continue? You guys are quiet. All right, so we talked about the title search. We talked about making sure that the title is clear, so that you're not stuck in a situation. And our tax records and our tax cards may not look like yours, but I do pay attention to the description and make sure it matches what is being listed on the foreclosure sale. And I just dot my I's and cross my T's and just cross-check everything. So it is a tedious process, but it is so rewarding and so well worth it. So to identify the outstanding taxes and just to confirm what they're asking for the open bid, you can get that information on your county tax records, the county sites, the tax assessor's office. And then you can also just kind of do some due diligence about what's going to be happening in the neighborhood. I know that one of the properties that we purchased was a lot near a college, and that was a few years back. And we got that lot back then for $6,500 at the time. But now that whole area has gone through gentrification and that lot has more than 10x'd. So for us, it was definitely worth doing that due diligence, that research, and obtaining that property at that particular time. So once you do use your online tools, I'm not saying not to use Zillow or Realtor.com when doing your research. I'm just saying just don't solely rely on that. And once you hear that you won the bid and there's no more upset bidding, because that upset bidding process in North Carolina, it's either $750 or 5%, whichever is higher. That is what you pay to upset someone's bid. When you go to the courthouse, there is a registration process. You just give the attorney your information. I typically will bring different amounts of certified checks. So maybe a 5,000 check, a 1,000 check, a 2,500 check, a couple hundred, like I just mix it up that way. That works for me, but you do what works for you. And what happens is you have to pay once you win the bid at the open auction that someone is going to upset. So I've learned to still go to the auction, don't necessarily bid at the auction, but see who's bidding there. And it's cheaper to upset a bid than to go and bid outright at the auction, and someone's going to upset the bid anyway. So if they wanted $3,000 at the for the property, they will tell you how much you need to put up front. And it's more than the 5% or $750 to pay and secure the bid for that day. Excuse me. And so I've learned that it's best to just go see who's bidding, and then just upset the bid if it's something that you really want. And it pays to go because some people, they bid on these properties and they don't have the money. They go, the attorney will give them an hour to go and go get the funds and come back. And if they don't come back, they just put it back at auction. And so some people leave not knowing that. And so that's another thing to pay attention to if you start doing this. If they break for lunch and say, okay, you got an hour to go get the money and come back, just come back and see who comes back with the money, because you might have an opportunity there as well. Does anybody have any questions before I continue?
No.
Did you say yes or no?
I said no.
Okay. All right. And so the attorney will let you know what the rules are during that day. It's pretty exciting. I love going to them. So I hope if you want to do this, that you at least take an opportunity to go and see what it's all about. We've talked about that 10-day upset bid period. So if you bid on something, someone can go and bid on it the next day and they're paying $750 or 5%, whatever is higher, to upset the bid. And when you go to submit an upset bid, they have paperwork that you have to fill out. And so every county has its own paperwork. So like I said, get familiar with your county clerk's office, be nice to them. They will help you. And once you get into the hang of it, I normally just take a bunch of them and I will pre-fill them before going up there and then just hand them in with my certified check. And then I go. If I lost the bid, they'll call me and say, Miss Ford, we have a check for you. I'll go pick up my check. So people see me going in and out of court all the time. I want you to tell you, I just want them to know I'm going to get checked. I'm picking up checks. All right, so once that process happens, the attorney will say, you won the bid, no one has upset it for 10 days. And so we are closing on X day and you need to have this amount of money. And you close on that day, you have that amount of money. If you do not close on that day because you don't have the balance to pay for it, they will keep your deposit and then they'll just put the property back at auction again. So if you guys are interested in doing this, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to guide you, walk you through the steps. One of the things that I'm going to start doing in 2025 is I'm going to charge investors a retainer. And I'm going to charge investors commission on either the repaired value of the property or the actual value of the property. It just depends on what makes sense. So if they're getting a property for $30,000 that's worth $300,000, I will be charging commission on the 300,000. Or if it makes sense to do it on the repair value, I'm going to charge commission on that in addition to my retainer. So my retainer will allow me to go to the courthouse, upset bids for them. They would have to make checks paid out to Guilford County Courthouse, and I will submit the checks, upset the bids, and if they win and we close, I would send my commission agreement to Zacharias and add that to the settlement statement. Does anybody have any questions for me before we end the presentation today?
No, thank you. You know, I'll reach out if I do.
So, is that Tiana?
Yes.
Tiana. So, Tiana, you're actually a really good person to kind of tell people. Oh, I just noticed email address is spelled incorrectly. Ooh, I hate those too. Oh my goodness. But just know I paid attention to that at the end. But Tiana, tell the people your experience when you kind of went out on the field with us. Like, what were your thoughts? And is this something that you think you're gonna try to continue to do?
Yeah, you know, we kind of get pulled in so many different directions. I definitely do want to pick it back up, but when we went out there, it was fun. Like, I honestly, I love researching. I love, you know, having to find specific things. So I enjoyed the process and hopefully could continue in the future to do the whole process.
Well, I will be looking for a team in Guilford County. I'm looking for 12 agents that want to really learn this process.
Mm-hmm.
I would prefer that they are lifestyle agents, but I'm looking for 12 agents that would like to do this process with me and build a like a tax lien foreclosure investor type group.
Mm-hmm.
Not just for the agents, but for investors that they service as an extra stream of income because
Right.
there's a lot of potential out here. So
Okay.
want to thank everybody for joining my live. I appreciate you guys. And I wish everybody a continued happy holiday and a happy and abundant 2025. It's the year to thrive.
Thank you. Same to you.
All
Happy
right.
New Year.